Welcome back to AgriVista, where we explore topics in agriculture. I'm Joshua Tigges. The Albert City Threshermen is an annual antique agricultural show well known not only in Northwest Iowa, but across the nation. On this special series edition, we'll dive into each featured aspect of the show, starting with how it began and the value these types of shows have to propel the industry. Let's take a look at what we'll cover in this episode.
Kids can come and find things to do. It's a combination of education and then and with a little bit thrown in entertainment.
Makes you appreciate what you have in the present, and it prepares you for the future.
You just got to come out here to see it.
All of this and more coming up on AgriVista. Antique shows in the agriculture industry are vital to showcase what production used to look like. Not only does this allow some to reminisce, but younger generations can educate themselves on the foundational principles modern agriculture was built from. With new technologies streamlining processes, it's now typical to see massive equipment in fields, but it never used to be this way. That's why these shows hold great value. To learn more, let's take a deeper look at the Threshermen. For over 50 years, neighbors Carl Lind and Keith Sundblad have pioneered an agricultural time capsule. The Albert City Threshermen features antique equipment, from horse-drawn plows to steam-engine tractors powering threshing machines. With volunteers willing to donate time and equipment, an event that started simply to educate their own children quickly drew national attention.
The reason a lot of people come here is they find this to be a real family-oriented show. Kids can come and find things to do as well as the adults.
Antique shows such as the Albert City Threshermen reveals the historical and foundational principles modern agriculture was built from. Although few threshing machines or steam-driven sawmills are used in operations today, these shows highlight the past in order to strengthen the future.
I think maybe too often people live in the vacuum of the present. They also have a past and they have a future. And seeing the past in operation, I think it makes you appreciate what you have in the present, and it prepares you for the future.
This focus and educational nature has paid dividends as more and more families make this show part of their summer routine. Whether they grew up on a farm or with an agricultural background, or even from a city, many develop a newfound appreciation for the labor-intensive nature previous generations endured to carve a path for modern agriculture advancements.
We're just glad there's a lot of people here that can enjoy, and it's family-oriented, and we want to keep it that way. We see a lot of young families here today, and to me, it's rewarding to see young families come, and they're probably grandparents or parents are not very far away, and so they get a chance to, hey, I knew what that's all about.
Agriculture, showcasing where we were in the past, what advancements have brought us to the present, and inspiring young generations for the future. I am now privileged to be joined by one of the founders of the Threshermen Show, Carl Lind. Now, Carl, we saw you there in that feature package, and you said, we're just glad there's a lot of people here. Now, I can't imagine how much time goes into organizing a show such as this, but what does it mean to you when people finally show up to experience the history of agriculture?
Well, for some it may be just to come and reminisce and visit with others, but for the bulk of the younger families, it's to come not only see what took place, but to be educated as to some of the old activities, old equipment of a generation, 2-year generation, 3 generations ago. So it's a combination of education and then and with a little bit thrown in entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this year, actually, we're coming up on the 52nd celebration of the Albert City Threshermen. Now, taking a look back 52 years ago, where did the idea for this show kind of come from?
Well, back in the summer and fall of 1970, I had a neighbor, his name is Keith Sundblad. He and I thought, we've got 7 kids between us. He had the 4 boys, he and Marianne and my Mary, and I had 3 girls. And we thought it would be probably a good idea to give them an opportunity to see a little bit about what we experienced as young boys. So it kind of centered around trying to be sensitive to what they might learn from what we experienced. And
Absolutely.
that's how it kind of started in the planning stage there in the year before we actually did it. We were in that planning stage.
Well, that's awesome, showcasing kind of what you knew growing up, and it kind of showcases how far agriculture has come today. But now, fast forward 52 years to today, there's something for the entire family to do there. There's everything from threshing machines to corn shelling and steam-powered sawmills and everything like that. So I can't imagine that all of this was there for that very first show. So over the years, how has the Threshermen's evolved?
Well, it kind of started with some basic equipment, something to do with oats production, and that would involve, of course, a seeder and some ground, and getting the seed in the ground, and getting a harvest piece of equipment like a binder, which would have been used way back 2 generations ago to bind the oats, and then it took a thresh machine to separate the oats from the straw, and from there we just progressed beyond the threshing stage, and it's been a growing experience for a lot of people, and that's basically what we want to do is get some idea to a lot of people what may have been their experience, what may have been a new experience for someone who had never witnessed in their whole lifetime.
Yeah. Now, looking forward into the future, what does kind of the future of the show hold? Will more antique harvesters be introduced now, or kind of in the future, is there any plans to introduce new aspects?
Well, each year we hope to add something new or different. And this coming year, we're adding a 6-acre plot for going through the process of harvesting hay. That's one little aspect. But for future events come down the road, it will depend on some of the younger individuals who are on our Threshermen board who come up with new ideas to not only bring something in the form of entertainment but education to the forefront.
Yeah. And finally, kind of to wrap up here, what's your take on the value these types of shows have, such as the Threshermen, with showcasing agriculture and its history? Why is that important, and why do you continue to do it?
Well, for some reason, I think personally I like to see the newer things come into play. Maybe it may not be a potato patch for kids. It may be tractor driving lessons for some younger kids. It may be adding something having to do with a feature that no one has ever seen. Maybe a baling with something that it's of the future. We never know what's going to take place 10 to 15 years from now. But what we're doing now is to try to experience something of the years that we have lived and have lived through as some of us as farmers and some of us as workers in the marketplace, and we just want to showcase a lot of different things that not only exhibit history, but will show what might come as a collector piece, and that might be a newer tractor that's being used in a field right today.
Yeah. Well, now before I let you go, we actually had a viewer send in a question here. So the question that we got from the viewer here, well, to kind of preface this, each year the show has a featured tractor. and the viewers wondering, what will the featured tractor be for the 2023 show?
Allis-Chalmers.
Allis-Chalmers. Now, can you kind of explain why you came to that conclusion, or why you selected the Allis-Chalmers this year?
Each year, for many years, we have tried to showcase a certain machinery line. And Allis-Chalmers was in the picture a number of years ago, approximately 10 years ago, as a feature, and we thought it's time to bring them up again. And not only will it be tractors, but a variety of farm equipment. There's right now a stationary steam engine that's about 100 years old that some people have seen, some people haven't. It's a piece of Allis history, and so we want to showcase the equipment that will probably bring a lot more people in besides those Allis collectors. Maybe some others that want to see what's Allis all about.
Yeah, well, I know I can't wait to go out there and experience that, see what you have in store there to showcase that. I want to thank you for your time being with us here today. Now make sure you make your way to the Albert City Threshermen and Collectors Show, August 11th to the 13th, and experience the featured Allis-Chalmers. Tune in next time when we start our dive into each unique part of this show, beginning with threshing. I'm Joshua Tigges, and you've been watching the special Albert City Threshermen series on AgriVista, where we explore the past to understand the present and excel into the future.